Was you, Tracy? I know. Are we in? Are we there? Are we in? I think we're live. I think we just didn't have music this time.
Okay, that's fine.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm your host of this particular interview with Julie Gumulak Smith. I'm so excited I got her name right. Last time I bumbled all over it. And we had an interview talk earlier. It was amazing. I learned a lot. I cannot wait for this one. And Juliann is going to talk to us about 3 techniques to shift your mindset around money. She's an investment educator and money coach. So I'm going to let you take it away because I know you've got a lot of really great information to share with me. I mean, other people too, but me.
All right, thanks so much. So a little bit about me. I actually, my first career, I was a molecular biologist. So I did a lot of lab research. And being in that career for a number of years, what I found that, I had this innate desire to want to contribute to society, but working in the lab, I felt like I was too many steps away from actually having a meaningful contribution to society. Yes, what I was doing was important, but it was like 10 years down the road. And I kind of realized I missed the one-to-one interaction with people. So around that time, my husband got laid off from his job. We moved our family 1,000 miles away and became a stay-at-home mom overnight. And my youngest child was just 6 months old. So in the midst of raising young children, my dad actually came to me and said, hey, do you want to go to this seminar about investing and learning about the stock market? And that completely piqued my interest. I didn't know who was going to watch the kids, how the logistics was all going to work out, but I just knew I had to go. And that weekend, my life really changed. It's when I first got exposed to the stock market. And from that weekend, I actually spent about 2 to 3 years with a company called Invest Tools. They are under TD Ameritrade now, but I would learn, take classes and learn about the stock market. And when my kids were young, I would get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning just to take classes or look at my stock charts. And it was really the only time that I felt like myself. And it was really my sanctuary insanity when I was raising my young children. So if you kind of fast forward 10 years into that, I didn't really talk about it with my family. It was really kind of something my dad and I would do together. And about 10 years after that, I was in a minor car accident, not a huge one, but enough of a wake-up call that I was like, okay, I really need to slow down. I really need to change some things in my life. So during that personal transformation, I studied to be a life coach. And, when you get done with life coach training, everyone's like, what's your niche? What do you do? What's your specialty? And I was like, okay, I'm going to, I wasn't quite sure, but I was going to test things out. So first I tried, people who are going through a career change. That was okay. That was something I could speak to, but it didn't feel quite right. Then I started coaching people on relationships because there was a time when my husband and I were separated and there was, techniques that I could show people to help them through that. And again, it was kind of like Goldilocks. It didn't quite feel right. And then I really, really noticed everyone around me kind of was going through a life transition, whether it be a career change, a move, a divorce. And what I noticed is that everyone was coming to me about questions about money. I was like, oh, and that's when I realized, oh, not everyone knows what I know about the stock market and personal finance. So that's how I found my niche. And I really like to combine mindset, which we'll talk about today, but also education. And I very much like to provide a very supportive community for people to feel comfortable to talk about money. So that's me.
So I love that. And I love that you you had the what, you had the interest in going to the seminar with your dad, but you didn't have any of the how piece. You had no idea how that was going to work out, and you just let it happen and work out. And so many times we get so caught up, at least I do, in the how,
Right.
that I will miss the what sometimes. So I love that is part of your story. So now what? I love that you switched niches just a little bit until you landed on the right one. So let's work on my mindset.
Yeah, let's go to that. So the first technique that I love to do with my clients is really, I call it catching your thoughts. Okay, and oftentimes we have all these thoughts about money that doesn't necessarily come from us. It either comes from society, our partners, whatever the thoughts our family had growing up. They kind of get absorbed into us. And sometimes we don't actually realize that. So in my case, I would have thoughts like, or I would hear things like, money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I'm made out of money? And then like the only advice my father ever gave me growing up was like, mortgages and car payments are acceptable debts, but everything else is not. So like when I got into the world, I was like, okay, no credit card debt. I won't even go there because that was really the only thing he ever said to me about money. So I would love to take a moment if anyone has any input about what kind of things come up when they think about money. And if you could put that in the chat, if you're feel comfortable enough to share. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. And my granddad told my mom, you will always have a house payment and a car payment, so just get used to it. So my mother's goal was never to have a house payment or a car payment.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, that was her goal. And then of course it became mine too. So we've got, it's hard to make money.
Yep.
There's shame and guilt. Money is to be spent.
Good. I like that mindset.
Yeah, money is hard. Having a lot of money means you're greedy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Ooh,
Or they did something wrong, or they cheated. Yes.
Yeah, or expenses.
Right. Wonderful.
Okay, like all of these, I'm going to say all of these are me. At some point.
So when I do this activity, I usually let people take about 3 minutes to write down everything. And you can do this when you go, when you have some quiet time. But what I like people to do simply with that is recognize your thoughts. So my daughter loves a YouTuber named Danny, and his following is kind of called Greg. And when his arch nemesis is called Craig. So when my child has a negative thought, either about money or, whatever it happens to be, they'll catch their thought and say, oh, I'm having a Craig thought. And yeah, I mean, it just, what's important with it is just to actually take a moment to realize, okay, this is just my mind, my brain just throwing stuff at me. You don't have to believe it, and when you recognize that thought, that you're just having that thought, you don't have to believe it. But when you do that, it actually distances yourself from that thought. So it gives you a little bit of space, and it feels less like it's happening to you and more you're observing it. Okay. And that is like the first step of kind of shifting your mindset, is that, okay, this is just a thought. It's not happening to me. I am just going to observe that thought and move on, and not necessarily go down the rabbit hole of believing that thought and where we can go with our thoughts after that. So that's the first technique I love people to first try. How does that sound to everyone?
Well, catch your thoughts. That's really,
so that's simple critical. But powerful. Simple
it is. Put it in the thought. Or in the chat, can you start catching your thoughts? Is that something you can do? I love that.
Okay. And then I'm sorry. The second one that I love to talk about is the power of gratitude. So there is a great quote by Lynn Twist. She wrote the Soul of Money, and she said once, what you appreciate appreciates. So that kind of makes me realize, there's the space of gratitude to let money flow into your life. So I'm dating myself a little bit, but when I was a grad student, I made $14,400 a month. And, I would sit down and write out checks when we used to write out checks. And I was so grateful that I could pay my bills for the month from that stipend, so at least that once a month I had that space of being grateful for what I have. And now I actually have a little gratitude tree that I have in my office. And it's just something, that I found at Target one day. But what it does for me, it reminds me to be grateful for what I have. It can be about money, life, whatever it happens to be, but it's like a visual reminder to remind myself to be grateful. So every leaf that I put on that tree is something that I'm grateful for. And when I look at that tree, I can say, okay, have I been grateful lately? Do I need to add some things? And being grateful for what you have, that really shifts things of, okay, they're grateful for this. What else can come? What else can come to me? Okay.
And I love that you were grateful when you wrote your checks, that you could pay the bill. Because I've heard that before. When money goes out, bless it and be happy about the fact that you had the money.
Yep. And even, yep. And, it's a shame, I know everything's kind of automatic payment. You just pay it automatically, but so we don't really sit down with money. And what I like people to do then, if things are kind of on autopilot with that, that's fine. But maybe once a month, have a date with money, just kind of sit down with money, and just kind of see where you're at with things. And again, that puts you in that gratitude state, that gratefulness state.
I was at an event and one of the speakers was an automation IT person. And in the workbook was a list. What are all the things that you're paying for tech wise every month or every year that you may not need? And as I went through that, I found several things that were on automatic payment that were technology things that I really didn't need. Like I was told I needed it, but I really didn't. So yeah, seeing what's on that credit card bill. Did I really want that?
Yeah, I think there's an app that actually tracks that for people now, just for that reason. That's their niche.
Yeah.
And, that we will automatically renew. So you don't think about it. And actually a lot of people have fear about looking at their credit cards, so they won't necessarily see that monthly charge or yearly charge. Yeah.
Yep. It just goes through there. I was like, wait. And I realized I had something and I was like, I didn't think I needed that, but by golly, I'm going to start using it now at least once a month since I already paid for
I'm
it.
paying for it. So I would love it if people could say something they're grateful for, in respect to money. I mean, I'm grateful when I find a penny. My son has like eagle eyes and he can like spot pennies like nothing. So I hope everyone at least can think of one thing that they're grateful of. And if they want to share, that'd be great.
Yeah, put it in the chat. What's one thing you're grateful for? So I heard a story and I don't remember who it is, but it was some very wealthy man. And I'm going to say he owned some kind of store, like brick and mortar store. And every time he passed a penny, he stopped and picked it up and he would pause and he was saying a quick little prayer of thanksgiving for finding the money. And somebody said, "You're a multimillionaire. What are you doing worrying about a penny?" And he goes, "If I can't be grateful for a penny, I can't be grateful for anything else." So I love that. Let's see. Using money to do fun things with my kids. I'm grateful for all the cool things I can buy. Grateful to have a lovely home in Northern California. Ooh, I love that, Barbara.
I like that.
Gratitude about money. Grateful every time my bank account dings because it means I'm serving my people well and they are willing to pay. Tracy, that is phenomenal. I'm grateful for having money to pay my bills and donate. Yeah, donate. That is a big one. You all are great. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wonderful. I'm so grateful you guys are sharing. So
Awesome.
yeah. So from there, I would like to talk about I call it drawing your relationship with money. So if everyone could just kind of take a moment and think about what their relationship money looks like right now, just take a moment. I know when I first did this activity, I had a vision of like I'm on a carousel and there's like a bell you're supposed to ring, and every time I missed the bell I would go around and it would be so close, and it was always out of reach. So my relationship with money for a time was, it's just out of reach, it's just out of reach. So that's what I was going to have. And then when I did this activity, I really wanted it to be more like it ended up being looking like a garden. I have my seeds that are all organized, and I'm weeding out the things that I need to weed out, whatever it happens to be with money, either not knowing where my money is or talking to my partner about our money situation. Whatever weeds might be growing, I would pull them out. And, you can actually do this activity multiple times. So the first time, like I said, I showed it very much as a garden. The second time I did it, it was actually more like a sanctuary. Like I had a wisdom tree. I had birds flying in to rest on the branches. I had a water feature and butterflies. So, it's not just, one and done. It evolves over time. And sometimes you can, get a sense of messages from money or how money wants to be treated through this activity. And I would love to think if anyone has any imagery. So I don't want you to necessarily draw the unwanted relationship with money. But, when you actually take time to, think about what your relationship with money is and what you want it to be. I know it's a short amount of time, but I would be curious to see what kind of imagery people get with how they want their relationship with money to be. Does anyone want to share?
So what's the actual activity is kind of the question, because my first thought was my relationship with money. I was thinking of like a relationship with a person. So like I had money in my head, like a physical person, probably wrapped in bills. And I'm going to say I started out with that person being just out of reach. And then you start sharing your story, and it was like, yeah, my money person is just like right over there.
Right there, but can't grab it.
I can't. So now I guess my money person, if I want to stick to that, instead of a beautiful story like you created, we would at least be holding hands, if not hugging. Because we need to be tight.
Right. Yeah.
I want you tight.
Right.
So we had one person, I'm very grateful for reminding us to be grateful. That's beautiful, Eileen. I love that. And then Sarah said, money's hiding from me. Ha ha ha. But you know what, Sarah, it kind of hides from me sometimes too. So now I can start dating money. Like we can go for coffee chats and stuff.
Or set up that monthly meeting.
Set up that monthly meeting. So does that analogy help more, Angie? She was asking what the actual activity is. Visualize your relationship with money. Yeah, they date. Yeah. Oh, that was Angie asking that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said explain it.
Yeah, it's just simply meant, whatever images come up, you can spend some time, drawing that out at a later time. Yeah, and again, it kind of gets you into that feeling state of how you want your relationship with money to be.
Yeah, and how do I want to feel about it? Because we have heard those stories, if you're rich, you're greedy, they have too much money. Somebody made some comment to me recently about flying first class, and that was just really a waste. And I was like, Yeah, well, put pen to paper. What do you get when you fly first class?
Mhm, mhm,
That makes it an easier flight. So it's that whole mindset around it that
mhm,
makes a
mhm.
big difference. So you have an amazing gift for us. You have a free gift, and I'm scrolling up to find it. And I see your VIP gift. I'm not seeing. So, March, if you could drop in the chat what the gifts are, because this is so necessary for all of us, kind of no matter where we are
Mhm.
in life.
Right.
Oh, let's see, Rocky. Money can be used for good or evil. Oh, money doesn't necessarily change you. It actually magnifies who you are inside. Yes. So we have a VIP gift for you. 10 techniques to shift your mindset around money. So if you are a VIP participant, you're going to get that. If you're not, then it's not too late to upgrade to VIP and get all the talks and all the VIP gifts. And
Mhm.
then, did you have a free gift for this and
I
I just missed it?
I do. I have 5 easy ways to grow your money, and it
5
should.
easy ways to grow your money. So if you'll just email support at voicesofwomensummit.com, we'll get that free gift. Just put Juliann's free gift in there and we'll get that gift for you. And so who is our next speaker before we wrap this up, Marge? It has been so awesome having fabulous tech support. So our next speaker is Sue Paulson, Turning Points from Misery to Magnificent. You
Mm.
want to grab that link and register for that. But Juliann, final thoughts.
So I like to say, what you think about money is just as important as how much money you have. What you think about money is just as important. And a little note about the stock market. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand the stock market. You just need to learn a new set of skills.
I love that. So valuable and important. Juliann, I have loved getting to know you today, and I have loved all this information. I have a whole nother page of notes from you.
Great.
I love that you're sharing your wisdom with us.
All right. Well, thanks so much. You
All
guys have a
right.
good
Thank you,
summer.
everybody.
All
Register for the next talk, and let's keep this party going. We've got a couple more hours.
right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Marge. Cheers. Take us out.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session of the Voices of Women Summit, where our mission is to raise the voices of hundreds of women so their messages can be heard. For recordings of all sessions, plus an amazing VIP gift bundle, upgrade to VIP now. If you have any questions or problems during the summit, email our support team at support@voicesofwomensummit.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.
Thank you. Take care. Sorry I was late. That kind of threw me a little. So.
It was perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.